herbs, trees both great and small, the shoots of the ripening grain, grapevine and sugarcane. Fertilized are these by the rain and abundantly enriched. The dry ground is soaked. Herbs and trees flourish together from the one water which issued from that cloud. Plants, trees, thickets, forests, according to need, receive moisture. All the various trees, lofty, medium, low, each according to its size, grows and develops. Roots, stalks, branches, leaves, blossoms and fruits in their brilliant colours. Wherever the one rain reaches, all become fresh and glossy, according as their bodies, forms and natures are great or small. So the enriching rain, though it is one and the same, makes each of them flourish. In like manner, also the Buddha appears here in the world, like unto a great cloud, universally covering all things. And having appeared in the world, he, for the sake of the living, discriminates and proclaims the truth in regard to all laws. The great holy world-honoured one, among the gods and men and among the other beings, proclaims abroad this word. I am the Tathagata, the most honoured among men. I appear in the world like unto this great cloud, to pour enrichment on all parched living beings, to free them from their misery, to attain the joy of peace, joy of the present world and joy of nirvana. Gods, men and everyone, hearken well with your mind. Come you here to me, behold the peerless honoured one. Upon all I ever look everywhere impartially, without distinction of persons, of mind or love or hate. I have no predilections, nor any limitations. Ever to all beings I preach the law equally. As I preach to one person, so I preach to all. Going, coming, sitting, standing, never am I weary of pouring it copious on the world, like the all-enriching rain. Equally I rain the law rain unwearyingly. What kind of plant we might each be and where we might be in our particular stage of growth and development. We don't want to be too literal and decide that we're going to be an oak tree. It's an image, but the importance of the image is that it's easy to think, oh, we come along, we meditate and we learn about Buddhism and we just sort of polish ourselves, become a bit brighter, a bit more positive, a bit of a nicer person, but pretty much the same. But actually it's not like that. So when we hear the Dharma, which is the one Dharma for all of us, like the rain, we will grow, not just become a little bit nicer or shinier or more polite, but actually grow into something new. We'll look pretty much similar on the outside. Obviously we get older, but something new is coming to being, which is akin to the growth of a plant, the growth of a tree. You might have noticed, although I won't, there's no bad marks if you didn't, because I have asked you to turn off rational mind. The previous two myths, we have somebody on the path. So the poor man is is on his journey. The children are running out of the house. So in those stories you have the person treading the path and the path. Here the person and the path are one and the same. So this story is a kind of a corrective in a way to thinking that I'm treading the path. Actually, this growth in response to the Dharma is the path. This the sutra was told in India, so it's the background is the dry, parched land of India, very, very hot. When the rains come in India, boy do they come. It's 1 minute it's sunshine, then there's a cloud, and then it rains for a very long time without stopping, and the ground becomes very lush very quickly. So that just that sense of, gosh, what a change from being parched and dry to being kind of lush and full of moisture, full of life. Anyway, that's an important. We should be looking for that in our practice. That's if we're feeling very parched, sort of spiritually starved, a bit kind of not in touch with inspiration, then in a way we need to be finding ways to connect with this, with the great rain. And Sangharakshita talks very encouragingly to us about this, so I wanted to read from him. So Sangharakshita says, it is not enough to understand the Buddha's teaching intellectually. Anyone who has the ability to read can do that. We have to ask ourselves again and again, not just do I know, do I understand, but do I feel, do I vibrate with this? We might even ask ourselves, do I really feel like a plant at the end of the hot season? Is this how I feel after a day's work? Do I feel all dry and withered? Do I feel in need of nourishment? Do I really feel ready to take something in? When you come into contact with the truth, with the Buddha's teaching, do you actually feel as though you are being refreshed by a great shower of rain? Do you really feel like you are going to drink something in after having been dry and thirsty for a long time? Do you really feel, when you come into contact with the Dharma, that the sun has come out? During the months of winter, it's not unusual to feel dull and tired, even miserable, because the sky is grey with fog and mist and you're cold. You look forward to the spring sunshine, to your summer holiday, the first beautiful, warm, bright weekend when you feel that spring is really on the way. You feel as though a new spirit were rising within you. But do you feel like this when you come into contact with the Buddha's teaching? Do you feel as though you are drinking in spiritual sunshine? If you do not respond in this way, your approach is still just intellectual. It is important that we should actually feel ourselves living, feel ourselves growing like a plant when the rain falls and the sun shines, feel ourselves expanding. If we feel like this, our birth as human beings is not in vain, for we will ourselves be symbols of life and growth. I didn't mention, but there's after the parable of the rain cloud, there's the parable of the sun. Again, with a similar image, the sun shines equally on us all, and we grow according to our own natures. Very beautiful imagery, and very, very encouraging for us. So back to the parable. I see that time is marching on. Yeah, we have a story of another Buddha who lived millions and millions of years ago, but because I'm running a bit over, we'll skip forward to the parable of the drunkard and the jewel. This is quite short. World-honoured one, it is as if some man goes to an intimate friend's house, gets drunk and falls asleep. Meanwhile his friend, having to go forth on official duty, ties a priceless jewel within his garment as a present and departs. The man, being drunk and asleep, knows nothing of it. On arising, he travels onward till he reaches some other country, where for food and clothing he expends much labour and effort, and is content even if he can obtain but little. Later his friend happens to meet him and speaks thus: "Tut, sir, how is it that you have come to this for the sake of food and clothing? Wishing you to be in comfort and able to satisfy all your five senses, I formerly in such a year and month and on such a day tied a priceless jewel within your garment. Now, as of old, it is present there, and you in ignorance are slaving and worrying to keep yourself alive. How very stupid! Go you now and exchange that jewel for what you need, and do whatever you will, free from all poverty and shortage." Just imagine, maybe 15 minutes into the future, talk's finished, people going to the loo, someone makes a cup of tea, you maybe go and check your phone, you put your hand in your pocket, and you realise that there's this incredible, beautiful, priceless jewel there in your coat pocket. You'd never seen it before. It's been there all this time. What a change. Suddenly your life will be completely different now. So we all have this jewel in our coat pocket. But we're drunk, we're asleep. I was reading in preparation for this, Sangharakshita talks about like the point of religion is the waking up. So someone is fast asleep and you shout to them, wake up, no movement, wake up, wake up. You might go and actually have to physically shake them, wake up. And actually that's the whole point of what we're doing. That's why you have this group, that's why I'm in the order, that's why I'm coming here to talk today. It's all about waking up. We're, the Buddha's point of view, we are, Walking Dead is it's putting it a bit strongly, but it's like we're walking around in, as it were, in a bit of a daze. We're not awake to the jewel that we're carrying around with us. So everything that we do, the classes and the meditation and study and ritual, it's all kind of, wake up, you've got this incredible jewel right here in your pocket, and it's been here all this time. I'll need to finish shortly, but I must just mention another small thing that happens in the sutra. So we've had the Buddha talking to disciples and doubting disciples, seeing that actually having their understanding expanded, and we've heard these parables. The action is continuing. The Buddha is talking, and remember, it's not just 10 people, but tens of thousands of disciples, different kinds of disciples, listening, telling stories, and then something absolutely extraordinary happens. So a stupa, which is it's a important Buddhist symbol. You might, I was going to have a picture with me. It's generally they're sort of shaped. They have a cube at the bottom, and then they go up to a more narrow point, and it's a very important Buddhist symbol. You see them around the Buddhist world and within Triratna. So you've got the Buddha there. The sutra is unfolding. The discourses are going on, and then this stupa emerges, and it's phenomenally huge. So I did a bit of maths last night. I think it's 500 kotis, and I worked out that a koti is something like 9 miles. Anyway, I worked out that it's about as far as from here to New York, but it's standing upright in the air. So it makes quite an impression on the assembly. And not only is it so high, but it's music is coming out of it. It's not just made out of bricks, it's made out of the seven precious materials. So gold, silver, lapis lazuli, carnelian, like these 7 precious substances. Yes, music is coming from the stupa in all directions. Many beautiful fragrances. It's adorned with flags. What an incredible celebration, an incredible phenomena. In a way, I don't need to say anything else. It's the miracle of it arising speaks for itself. But yes, the stupa itself, as I mentioned, is a very important symbol, and there's lots. There's lots that can be said about the stupa, and it's based on the categories of the 5 elements, so earth, water, fire, air, space, and it's a symbol of energy. So the refinement of energy. So the bottom is a cube. It's dense. It represents coarse energy. It's kind of even a stuck energy. If we feel very contracted within ourselves, and like this, that's the sort of the bottom bit of the stupa, and then the energy becomes more fluid as we go up the stupa right up to there's a flaming jewel right at the very top of the stupa, which represents the complete synthesis of you could say yin and yang energy. It represents enlightenment. So that the symbol, in a way, in some parts of the world, is considered more important even than the Buddha figure. It's such an important symbol. And in terms of the narrative of the sutra, something is about to happen. So there's about to be a voice coming from the stupa, and Shakyamuni Buddha will rise up into the air to meet. There's actually another Buddha. I wasn't going to tell you this, but can't resist. There's actually another Buddha a very ancient Buddha, millions and millions of years old, in the stupa, and Shakyamuni Buddha rises up into the air all that way to dialogue with the Buddha. The Buddha Abundant Treasures is his name. I've run over time. If you're sorry to leave you on a bit of a cliffhanger, if you're interested in finding out what happens next, it's all in this book, which is based on the lecture Sangharakshita gave on the sutra back in the 70s, I think. But for now, I'll leave it there, and hope that the story of the White Lotus Sutra so far, and the myths and parables that we've heard, will sink in and work their magic on you in the days and weeks ahead.